Charles Oliveira is a BMF. That's the title. When I come in here to the studio, team's got notes from each day. Of the many things that I go through before I get in this chair and we turn this camera, one of them is notes for the day, and that was the title. It didn't tell me why. Didn't tell me if this came up. Didn't tell me if somebody said it. That's it. And I turned to the producer. I said, what is this? He goes, that's the title. I want you to come up with the body. So the question again is Charles Oliveira a BMF? Or is it a statement? Charles Oliveira is a BMF. And you know why I'm asking you that? I didn't know. You guys have been up my ass for being a jerk about Charles for 3 years. And I'm telling you, it was only a coincidence. Like, I don't have anything against Charles. It was just a coincidence for 3 that every time I spoke about him, it came out in a negative light. Like there'd be a comparison. It's Charles versus Chandler. A real comparison, but I thought he's got no chance. Chandler's going to beat him up, and here's why. Or Charles versus Gaethje. When it's at home in Arizona, and they took his belt during a bureaucracy the day before, and now he's going to have to walk out into a hometown crowd for Gaethje. Like, it was one of these things where if I'm doing that piece and I'm sharing with what I think, it doesn't sound good about Charles. Regardless of how they ended up playing out, I'm just sharing with you. I swear to goodness, it was a coincidence. Like, I don't have something against Charles. But I will also admit for you, and swear to goodness, that you are right. For 3 years, I gave him a hard time. Those times are over. I didn't know, guys. I didn't know. I didn't see what you saw. And the only reason I did is because I got put in the Hall of Fame. Just found a way to punch my own ticket on that, didn't I? I swear it wasn't my intent. I'm up in the box with ESPN. That's where we have the studio. That's where we do the pre and the post show. So I usually watch those fights on a monitor. I'm so far away to see the actual ring, or I can just turn my head to a monitor. And I didn't know that changed the experience, because when they brought me down to put me in the Hall of Fame, they bring me all the way down. They put me right next to the cage. The only person in front of me is Dana. Right? I'm right there. You know, those tickets you can't even buy. And the reason I'm telling you that, they bring me down one fight before they make the announcement, and they're going to put me in. But that one fight is Ramon Sakarian versus Charles Oliveira. And when I'm up close, when I could really see the intricacies, is when I saw Charles's brilliance. I couldn't believe it. Now, he lost that fight, and it was a split decision. There was some controversy, but there should not have been, and it should not have been split. Very clearly, that was 2 rounds to 1. I tell you it that way because while seeing that, while very clearly knowing he's lost, in my mind, he went up instantly. Like, he didn't have to get his hand raised there. And I can't judge and don't judge somebody's body of work off of 15 minutes of fighting. Whether he'd won or lost, that wasn't what it was about. He's got Sakarian, who is a nasty, nasty wrestler, and Charles found a way on bottom to get on top. Now, there aren't many grapplers that have done that. Like just by example, Royce Gracie 101 was not, when you're in guard, to reverse him and get on top. And Royce Gracie 101 wasn't ever to get back to your feet. He wanted that position, he wanted to stay there, and he's willing to do it with discipline and patience. More discipline and more patience than you have. That was his top strategy. So when a jiu-jitsu guy comes in and likes top position, but he doesn't get it traditionally by out-wrestling you. You guys know who I'm describing, right? I just described for you Damian Maia, who most say and believe is the greatest jiu-jitsu player to have ever done this sport. And I'm telling you, Charles, just in that one realm, is Damian Maia-esque. He wanted top position. He got taken down. He's now going to get top position. Damian Maia used to pull guard, but that was just a setup. He'd come to the leg, he's looking for under, he's coming out the back, he's getting on top. Damian Maia wanted to be on top, but his way of getting there was to go down first. And I'm telling you, just in that one thing, that's who Charles reminded me of. Then his stand-up's on point. There's something about Charles, he's skinny. He doesn't look like a skinny guy, a little skinny jaw. Hit him on that little skinny jaw one time and put him down. Well, a little harder to do than that. he can take one hell of a punch. And then Charles will do an expression that you've heard. You've heard, keep him at the end of your punches. You don't know what that means. Fighters don't know what that means. The coach that says it doesn't know what it means. It's just something you say. But the truth is, the power comes right at the end of the punch. Like right here, if I haven't done anything, wham! That's where the power comes. Wham! Bruce Lee used to have this trick, and he would call it the 6-inch punch. But he'd take his hands, and then as he folded them, that was the 6 inches, and he could generate enough power to break a board. And I only call it a trick because while it looks like he didn't do much, he actually did it right where the power is at. And it was one of those things that you hear, but not a lot of guys do it, and Charles did. And Charles tried to win that fight. Does that sound simple, what I just said? He tried. When I brag about Michael Bisping and what a pain in the ass he was, and I've spent a lot of time with him. I grappled him for 20 minutes in a match that you guys don't even know about. I fought him for 15, which felt like 15 hours. I remember it clearly still because it was so taxing and draining. And when I brag about Bisping behind his back, I say something that sounds condescending. I say he tries hard the whole time. And people quickly dismiss that. Like, oh, Chael must not like Bisping. That was a backhanded compliment. No, it's not. Not everybody does. I wished in my own career that I would have tried harder the entire time more. Most guys, they get a feeling for you right off the bat. 2-3 minutes in, they know how this night is going to go. And some of them can write it. If it's going to be a loss, they can write out those rounds, wait for the judges to come in and get out of it. Other guys, well, now they know the outcome, so now they're just going to create the scenario. I'm going to find myself in a submission, but I'm going to stay here for a while until it looks real. I'm going to wait till that one punch comes in, get on and fall down and hope the referee steps in. Like, this is a very real thing. I mean, this is how your mind works. Fight or flight doesn't ever go away. So when I tell you that Charles tries hard the entire time, it's a big deal. See, he tried to win that fight. I know a lot of you thought he should have won, and one judges even gave to it. That's wrong. That's false. He lost 2 rounds to 1. He knew he was losing 2-1, which is why he tried to strangle him at the end. You know, when a fight ends and you're losing, but you've got the dominant position trying to choke a guy out, that is what shows heart. That is what shows you can deal with adversity. I know people that were good with the punches and good with the kicks. And so they, the person's a great fighter. No. That's called aggression. That's not called fighting. Fighting is when the other person's better with the punches and the kicks, and you're dealing with it and you're staying in there anyway. You're pushing forward anyway. And there's one other thing that you guys didn't see. Right? When I'm telling you, Charles Oliveira is a bad mother. When I'm telling you that, there's one more thing that I saw that you didn't see. Cameras just didn't have it. As soon as that fight was over, okay, UFC 300, everyone's watched. This was a big fight, man. It was an awesome card, but the crowd for this, whoa, this is when the rubber started to meet the road. Like, the crowd got really into this, believing it was your number 1 contenders match, but being armed with the fact that Gaethje and Max are still to come. When it ends and they do their interviews, and that's the last thing you see on camera, the fighters then, of course, walk out of the cage, right? Yeah, big surprise. Well, Hunter Campbell met Armand at the door. Right there at the door is when Hunter said, you've now won and you're the guy. But we got a date with Islam already. Do I insert you? Your choice, my friend. I mean, right? And that's where Circarian said, no, I want more time. Fine. The reason I bring that up, Charles saw it. Charles knew what time it was. Charles been in that spot. Everybody else in that building, 17,000 plus people, could look over and see Hunter speaking to Armand and having no idea what it was about. I guess Hunter wanted to just get up and tell him good job in person. That's what it would have looked like to you. But if you've been in it, you knew what it was, which is what I just described as an offer. And Charles saw it. So that now represents the ushering in of a new era, and it's not me. And that is a reality that every fighter faces. I'm just sharing with you. It's a very hard one. You guys might remember when Stipe lost to Daniel, and they ushered Stipe out and they brought Lesnar in. Didn't even let Stipe say goodbye to the fans or congrats to Daniel or I want a rematch. You might remember there was 2 years where there was outrage over that. And so I'm only sharing the emotion with you because Charles saw it. And I saw Charles see it. And do you want to know what Charles did when he saw that? That would hurt, right? You could imagine. It's the business. The business is cold. You want to know what Charles did? He looked away. He kept his head up. He showed no emotion. He didn't get angry. He didn't cry. And he walked out like a man. Got in the back, and when the cameras are off and no one's watching, at that moment, he can do whatever he wants to do. He can throw a fit. He can go punch something. He can do whatever he wants to do. But sportsmanship says you don't do it in front of anybody. And I watched that, and I saw Charles when he looked over, and I knew that Charles did the algebra real fast, knew exactly what was going on. He walked out like a man. So even if I'm late to the table, I am at the table. And the title of the table is Charles Oliveira is a bad motherfucker.